Diddy claimed that somebody held a knife to his throat. He woke up and this guy basically had him and he had the knife, and Diddy was at this person's mercy. Now, it's unclear what exactly happened from there. Was there a guard that came in? Did Diddy somehow fight this person off? Well, it seems unlikely that happened. Or did the person just leave? Bottom line, this guy, at least according to people close to Diddy and Diddy himself, could have hurt him badly or even taken his life.
Sean Diddy Combs was originally set to walk out of prison in May 2028, but the government quietly shifted his release date to June 4th, and the reason is far more unsettling than people realized. This wasn't a clerical glitch or bureaucratic delay. Federal Bureau of Prisons records are clear. His sentence was extended after multiple rule violations, including a three-way call prison officials flagged as suspicious. It all unfolded in early November, and the moment was serious enough that the Bureau updated his release file quietly, but unmistakably. His team rushed to spin it as nothing more than a routine legal call. But then, the documents came out. The FBI summary revealed the call wasn't protected by attorney-client privilege at all. It was an unauthorized back channel tied to voices who were never supposed to be on the line. Why does this matter? Because in the federal system, even small violations can add weeks or months to a sentence. That's the official version. But off the record, the story takes a darker turn, one involving drinking, bribery, and an ongoing attempt to bend prison life to his advantage.
Bankman Fried were in the unit that was one floor above mine. So in terms of like the setting, it's a fairly decent chance that the room I'm describing is similar to where Diddy is. Yeah.
This is the same man who wrote a heartfelt letter to the judge last October, claiming he was broken, humbled, and seeking mercy after losing his way, but correctional sources at FCI Fort Dix say the reality inside looks nothing like the public apology. Far from remorse, Diddy was reportedly caught drinking a homemade brew during his first week soda, sugar, and apples fermented in his cell for nearly 2 weeks. Supervisors discussed placing him in lockdown, but chose to keep him in the unit, hoping the situation would fade. Then the phone call incident appeared on the radar. Days later, this is where the gap between public narrative and internal reports gets wide. Diddy's camp dismissed every claim, urging people to ignore rumors. But those inside say these weren't random mistakes. They describe a sequence of small but intentional infractions, minor on their own, but suspicious in pattern. Publicly, his team denies everything. They say he's committed to growth, working quietly in the chapel library, avoiding trouble, and sticking to his treatment program. But staff and industry insiders paint a different picture. Some suggest he's making unauthorized communications beyond the flagged call, slipping messages through channels officers don't always catch, even pushing his influence to secure perks regular inmates never touch. Each time something surfaces, his attorneys call it exaggerated or flat-out fake. They insist he's a model inmate, but the explanations fall apart as fast as new reports appear. The prison logs themselves confirm at least 2 major violations since October: drinking and phone misuse, enough to officially delay his release. And that's the contradiction. A legal team crafting the image of a humbled father rebuilding himself, while inside the correctional file, violation after violation paints a completely different story.
He did a whole lot to a whole lot of people, and now he's paying for it. So all these cats, I guess y'all get y'all visitation rights. Some of y'all can get y'all conjugal visits right with them. I don't give.
What makes this more than a celebrity behind bars story is the scale and context hanging over every detail. Diddy's 50-month sentence was already a major break from the 11 years prosecutors pushed for. The government had spent months laying out what they called a long-running operation stretching over a decade. Private events arranged through layers of staff, intermediaries, and insiders. 2 former partners, Cassie Ventura and another woman referred to as Jane, were at the center of what prosecutors described as a recurring pattern of illegal behavior. The headlines in July were explosive not just because of the charges, but because of the ones he avoided: a racketeering acquittal here, a not guilty verdict on trafficking there. Even with those breaks, the conviction still stuck him with 2 counts of transporting individuals for intimate purposes, each carrying up to 10 years. So when the final sentence came in at less than half of what the government demanded, it sent its own message. But that outcome came with a warning. Judges can revisit release when a defendant breaks the rules. And as of November, that's exactly what happened. But we also can't pretend these prison violations aren't tied to a much bigger legal storm. Diddy isn't starting fresh. He's facing more than 100 civil lawsuits, many led by attorney Tony Busby. Each one is a trap for additional liability. These accusers watch everything he does, waiting for a moment that shows he's not taking accountability seriously. And every time a new prison incident leaks, attorneys instantly get another angle for upcoming hearings. Look at the pattern. Look at the disregard. That's why every misstep inside Fort Dix creates shockwaves far beyond the prison yard. This isn't just about compliance, it's about control of narrative. And with courtroom documents, press leaks, industry insiders, and relentless social media detectives, every move Diddy makes is analyzed for hidden meaning.
Interestingly, we haven't seen the indictments yet. There's been some time lag. I suppose it will take some time to go through all the forensic, evidence.
Because here's the real question. Are these violations simply reckless impulses? A disgraced celebrity resisting the limits around him? Or is Diddy using his time inside as just another move in the ongoing fight to shape his legacy? People familiar with Fort Dix say it's hard to tell where influence ends and coincidence begins, and the timing feels impossible to ignore. Each violation surfacing right as another round of civil cases ramps up. Every public denial from his team followed almost immediately by another page added to the Bureau's disciplinary file. Behind every headline is a tug-of-war between two narratives: Diddy's version, where he's the misunderstood star trying to reform, and the government's version, where even behind bars, the rules bend for someone with money, connections, and the right strategy. But the prison walls can't hide everything, and what's happening right now could shift the entire story. These rule violations aren't footnotes, they're warning signs. Because if he's bending rules on the inside, the question becomes, what was he doing on the outside? We can't treat these incidents as isolated mistakes. Not when the pattern stretches back to the courtroom, where he escaped the most severe racketeering convictions but was still found responsible for arranging travel linked to private encounters. Remember, Cassie Ventura testified about years of intimidation and coercive behavior. Diddy's camp dismissed her sworn statements as fabricated. And that's the pattern we keep seeing. In public, it's denial and spin. In the documents and in the quiet conversations between lawyers, it's a long list of people claiming intimidation, pressure, or signed agreements to stay silent.
I'm sorry, I'm just I'm in this moment right now. This is crazy. Sorry. People don't really know how much what it does to you when something that you love is taken from you and thrown away like it don't even matter, and then they move on with their lives and you're stuck. You're stuck. During those years, you're still stuck 21 years later.
The trail is longer and more tangled than most realize. During the trial's closing weeks, former partners described not just private gatherings or instances of aggression, but an entire culture built on loyalty, secrecy, and control. Ventura's testimony was damning, but she wasn't alone. Jane recounted financial manipulation, gift exchanges, and relentless pressure behind closed doors. Together, their accounts years apart painted a portrait of a man surrounded by yes-men and shielded by a sprawling, protective network. Diddy never admitted wrongdoing. Each new claim prompted swift responses from his attorneys, framing the lawsuits as opportunistic attempts at publicity. But the cracks in this strategy are becoming more visible. Every revelation, every misstep adds weight to the narrative that compliance and accountability have not been his priorities.
I'm happy to go. So we think that's just absolutely inconsistent with the jury's verdict. I mean, the jury's verdict was resoundingly clear. There was no trafficking, there was no racketeering, everything was consensual, everything was adult, which is why he was convicted only of the prostitution offense. What we feel happened today was that the judge acted as a 13th juror, one that we did not choose, and that he second-guessed the jury's.
His legal team's appeal is arguably their final card, and the stakes are shifting with each violation at Fort Dix. Every incident, whether a homemade brew or an unauthorized phone call, gives judges more reason to deny relief or dismiss appeals as merit. Those familiar with celebrity inmates note that it's rarely about comfort or boredom. It's about maintaining power, staying influential, protecting networks, and holding on to respect. Diddy's business interests remain active, old associates stay loyal, and setbacks are often repurposed as brand momentum. Industry insiders say several trusted figures are working behind the scenes to keep projects moving while he remains out of sight. Bad Boy Records continues to generate royalties from its catalog, and lucrative partnerships, including branding deals with persist thanks to long-term contracts. Money flows through trusts and shell companies. Yet Diddy's name is increasingly toxic. The deeper story is now about control, who still dares to pull the levers he once commanded, and how much influence remains in his hands.
Lawsuit specifically challenges allegations suggesting that Mr. Combs and his involvement in the 2018 of his former partner Kim Porter, whose passing was officially attributed to natural causes, by the Los Angeles County Coroner.
His legal team's appeal is arguably their final card, and the stakes are shifting with each violation at Fort Dix. Every incident, whether a homemade brew or an unauthorized phone call, gives judges more reason to deny relief or dismiss appeals as merit. Those familiar with celebrity inmates note that it's rarely about comfort or boredom. It's about maintaining power, staying influential, protecting networks, and holding on to respect. Diddy's business interests remain active. Old associates stay loyal, and setbacks are often repurposed as brand momentum. Industry insiders say several trusted figures are working behind the scenes to keep projects moving while he remains out of sight. Bad Boy Records continues to generate royalties from its catalog, and lucrative partnerships, including branding deals with persist thanks to long-term contracts. Money flows through trusts and shell companies. Yet Diddy's name is increasingly toxic. The deeper story is now about control, who still dares to pull the levers he once commanded, and how much influence remains in his hands.
To be honest with you, this is going to be a great PR thing for Trump. So how do things get leaked? They get leaked when people want you to know what might be happening. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now, at the same time as this news came, like literally right before this news broke, there was a notice filed by Diddy's attorney, Alexandra Shapiro, who is in charge of his appeal. And they basically just put the court on notice that in 4 to 6 weeks, they're going to be appealing this.
Here, strategy becomes murky, and the stakes rise, with over 100 lawsuits pending and a growing list of accusers. Diddy's advisors reportedly recommend a quiet dismantling of interconnected holdings. Financial records reveal a flurry of asset transfers in the months before his conviction, fueling speculation that trusted lieutenants are moving value out of reach ahead of creditors or court freezes. The law is complex, but the intent seems clear. Every dollar shifted strengthens the defense of a mogul in retreat. Even within his inner circle, loyalty is uneven. Some team members follow his coded instructions through intermediaries and lawyers, while others facing subpoenas and public scrutiny may be seeking escape routes. The power dynamic is unstable. Financial managers in Los Angeles and Miami are reportedly clashing over strategy, while daily operators at Bad Boy quietly question who will greenlight major deals in the future. Legal exposure dominates headlines, but beneath it lies a battle over reputation and market value. Major brands and business partners are re-evaluating their ties, quietly auditing contracts and recalculating risk. In entertainment and nightlife, Diddy's once coveted events and products are being replaced with safer, controversy-free alternatives. Every move is scrutinized, every misstep amplified, and the clock is ticking for the mogul navigating a world of lawsuits, shifting loyalties, and fading influence.
So it's just another form to silence a man, to humble a person. You know how sometimes you gotta humble somebody?
You're right.
Yeah, I think he's being humbled right now, which it took a long time. It takes a long time to humble an arrogant person.
Against this backdrop, whispers suggest that Diddy's recent prison incidents may serve a purpose far beyond fleeting rebellion. Observers with long-standing knowledge of celebrity inmates speculate that his non-compliance isn't about boredom or impulsiveness. Instead, it's a calculated gambit, a distraction, designed to keep the media focused on minor dramas while major financial moves unfold in the shadows. Rivals and allies alike are left guessing whether the next headline is a genuine misstep or a carefully orchestrated smokescreen, directing attention away from critical maneuvering. Meanwhile, money continues to change hands. Legacy brands face existential threats, and the myth of Diddy's invulnerability begins to fade. Control, once absolute, is slipping. In a world where perception drives profit, every disruption from management shakeups to dropped endorsements reverberates across the empire he once commanded with a single phone call. The fight is no longer solely about legal vindication or early release. It's about whether the empire can survive without its architect actively at the helm.
Speaking of Kim Porter, because you knew Kim Porter, is it true that Diddy broke her nose?
Bust her nose, man. You know, but it was all, insecurities. Anytime a man would go out his way to wiretap someone's phone or put taps in their homes just to monitor their conversation, that's a sign of insanity. So when you see someone doing that, you can imagine.
Let's not overlook the psychological angle experts keep pointing to, the ripple effect of defiance from the inside. For most inmates, time in federal correctional facilities is meant to strip away privilege and level the playing field. For celebrities like Diddy, it often becomes a stage for an even more elaborate performance. One forensic psychiatrist we consulted notes that power-driven defendants use small violations, almost as coded signals, a way to keep allies loyal, rivals wary, and the system off balance. What makes Diddy's approach unique is timing. he challenges the rules at moments when his legal future hangs in the balance, almost daring the bureau or adversaries to catch up. The day after every infraction, his PR machine kicks into overdrive. Spokespeople issue reassurances. He's committed to sobriety, to self-discipline, or that the rumors are exaggerated. Yet every rebuttal is followed by more details, surfacing penal code citations, unit transfer threats, new filings tied to civil cases. The consequences extend far beyond one man's sentence. Each incident reverberates through courts, social media, and boardrooms connected to Diddy's sprawling empire. When these legal dominoes begin to fall simultaneously, lobbyists, business partners, and legal teams scramble to anticipate the fallout. Entertainment lawyers agree. As long as Diddy can sow confusion, his leverage endures. And that's what unnerves those eager to close this chapter for good. The thought that he might still be orchestrating his empire from behind locked doors, using coded messages and legal loopholes.
Are you concerned that Sean Diddy Combs could be assaulted, violently assaulted? Is that a thing? Because based on what was said in court, it feels like a thing.
Meanwhile, every day his release date remains uncertain. Public interest sharpens. Accusers watch for retribution. Critics warn of influence run amok, and fans struggle to separate reality from performance. No other music figure of this generation has faced this exact storm acquitted of the gravest conspiracy charges, yet hamstrung by infractions. That jeopardizes early release on lesser counts. For all the carefully crafted apologies, spokespeople's reassurances, and media strategies, the picture remains the same, a figure who refuses to meet the system on its terms, even as the stakes rise with each passing month. So what happens if Diddy walks out in June 2028, both chastened and emboldened? Will he stage another carefully orchestrated comeback, or will the lawsuits and emboldened accusers finally push him out of the spotlight for good? The answers are closer than ever, but the story remains wide open. As the gates of Fort Dix stay closed, the questions grow louder every day. Are we witnessing the calculated playbook of a fallen mogul or the opening act of a throne's return? Leave your take in the comments below. Is Diddy still the power behind the curtain, or is the empire crumbling for good? Until next time, keep your eyes open in the world of celebrity justice. Nothing stays hidden forever.